What about now? Now? Can you hear me? No sound? Yes. Oh, good. Okay, good. Perfect. Okay. There's this little button on my microphone and it's really easy just to accidentally hit it. Yesterday, I recorded something for like 10 minutes and it was a perfect recording. And then I had hit the mute button. So good. Can't see me though. Uh-oh, that's not good. Can everyone else see me? Yes, sound. I can see you. Okay. Strange. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. All right, thank you. I much appreciate your help. Okay, good. So, ooh, at least I wasn't videoing a wedding. Yeah, thank God. Thanks, Larry. Okay, good. So I'm super excited. I see a lot of common names from previous weeks in the chat, so that's wonderful. I'm super glad you're coming back to join me. And if you're new here, then welcome. I'm going to give you a quick tour of Crowdcast before we get into things. So first things first, the chat is on the right-hand side. Then it's really distracting for me though. I keep reading the chat and then like forgetting that I have to say something. Then below, there is an ask a question section. I just have one in there right now. If you think of a question at any point throughout this presentation, instead of putting it in the chat because the comments will just like go by super quickly and then I won't end up seeing them, leave it in the ask a question section. You can also upvote questions in the ask a question section. And yeah, I answer it based off like whichever ones have the most number of votes. And then there's also a poll down there. I'm going to share our results. Let's see. Did you attend the last two masterclasses? Yes, most of you did. Wonderful. Or you watched the replays. A couple of you didn't see them and someone wasn't sure that there was past masterclasses. So I will, no sound. This is difficult. I don't know what to do. I hope the rest of you can all hear me, hopefully. I will tell you about the past masterclasses in the coming slides if you missed them and how you can watch them, because these classes do all tend to like feed into each other. So yeah. Which sounds the most like you? Most of you have picked a Squarespace template before, but you weren't sold on it. You're not loving it. A few of you have picked a template before and you're happy with it. That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. And a few of you have never picked a template before and you're completely new to this. So we're going to go, Brian rules. That is correct, Larry. We're going to go through like from the basic beginner level. So we'll definitely be able to help you people who are completely new to this, and also hopefully teach those of you something new who have previously picked a template before. So you all left your locations in there. I can see we literally have people from all over the world, a bunch of the States, someone from New Zealand again, which I'm pretty sure you're a few hours ahead. So it must be like the middle of the night for you. So I appreciate you being here. Some fellow people from The Hague, some others from Europe. It's wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. Yes, okay, I think that is everything. So I'm going to switch over to my slides. Can you let me know if you can see them? That will be super useful. Oh, and I'm starting at the end. Oh my gosh, look at me. Mess. We're going backwards, all. 1 second. I just ran through them before this, so I would be prepared for you. So that's a good thing, right? Okay. Here we go. We're at the start. Okay, good. So we're going to be talking about Back to the Future. That is correct. So today's topic, we're talking about how to pick your Squarespace template. So you're in the right place if you are clueless with how to pick the right Squarespace template for your business. It is a really big decision. So we're going to go through exactly how you choose the right one. You're in the right place if you're not even sure of what exactly you should be looking for in a template. I find that a lot of people ask me questions, like templates is by far the question that I get asked the most often, for sure. And people are often asking questions which don't actually help them choose the right templates. So I'm going to show you what you should actually be looking for and the questions you should be asking to choose the right template. You're in the right place if you haven't yet made use of the Squarespace template comparison charts. Those are like pretty much vital, I would say, to actually choosing the right template. So I'm going to show you some of those comparison charts as well. So if we've never met before, my name is Paige. Some of you have met me before. My boyfriend is actually watching this right now, he's met me before. My name is Paige. I'm a full-time Squarespace website designer. I'm trying to give a different fun fact for every one of these webinars. So other fun fact, I'm also a digital nomad. I'm Canadian, but I live most of the year in Germany, and I'm also heading over to Indonesia for a few months. So there is another fun fact for you, other than the Squarespace website designer bit. How I got started. Funnily enough, I'm not your typical IT person. I actually got started just because I had built my own Squarespace website, really loved doing it, loved just taking my creative brain and pouring it onto a page. And I had so much fun with it that I really thought, like, I love doing this. Could I turn this into a real thing, like an actual job? I thankfully met a group of nonprofit owners who were in desperate need of a website. So yeah, thankfully I met them. They needed a website. I helped them create it. That was my first website. I think it was like 3 years ago now. And since then, I've built a blog pretty much focused on Squarespace. I've built the go-to destination for Squarespace resources. I talk about Squarespace all day, every day over there. So if you haven't already gone and visited the blog, the most of you probably found me through the blog, so you've probably seen it before. But it's definitely a really great resource for when you're building your Squarespace site. So I have built over 40 websites now, 50 in the future, through a very specific strategy. And so these webinars, which I'm doing, is basically taking you through that strategy and showing you how I do it so you can go and do the same thing in your business as well. So what you're going to be learning today. First things first, we're going to learn about how templates, the style editor, and blocks all work together because they all have a very specific job. And I find sometimes people are choosing templates based off things that are examples in the style editor or in the blocks. That's actually, I really want to show you like what the template does, what the style editor does, and what the blocks do, so that you know which one you should be choosing. There we go. We're also going to talk about template families. This is super important for determining your correct template. So I'm going to explain what a template family is and how to know which template to choose within a family. We're also going to talk about what's involved with switching templates, because I know some of you already have a template that you're using, and some of you are just starting for the first time but are unsure, like if I want to change down the road, how difficult is that? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about like what is actually involved with switching templates. I'm going to tell you the exact process. It's literally 3 steps. It's pretty simple, actually, for choosing your perfect template. And then I'm going to show you how to use the Squarespace template comparison charts. I have an example of a past client who I was working with. I'm going to basically take you through the process of what I did with her and show you how to use the comparison chart to pick your correct template. So there's also going to be question and answer at the end. I see there's more questions down there now, so that's wonderful. So again, if you have a question at any point through this presentation, put it in the question section instead of in the comments. And lastly, there's a free workbook to go along with this. If you're watching this on the webinar on the Crowdcast with me live, then there is a green button below this window. It says download workbook. You can grab the workbook there. In the future, if you're watching this on my blog, there's going to be a button just below the video. And if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, then there's also a link in the description below where you can grab that workbook. So this webinar is a series of a few. Actually, it would be kind of difficult to teach you everything you need to know about choosing your Squarespace site or building your Squarespace site in just one webinar. So I split it into 4. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about creating your foundation for your website, creating your site building game plan. Last week, we talked about step-by-step site organization strategy. So that was basically like figuring out how to organize and make all your content flow on your website. How to pick a Squarespace template is today. And then Squarespace lesson for beginners. I actually switched this from next week to the week after. It's going to be a sharing my screen as I sort of like am using Squarespace and building a page or two. And I wanted to make sure that my internet was sped up before then. So the internet people take a few days to do that. So I just pushed this back by a week to make sure that my internet is tip top and we won't have any lag issues while I'm doing that, because it's kind of important. So registration, you can either check your email. I'll send you an email if you're registered for this. Then I have your email. I'll let you know when registration opens, or you can always click on my little face icon on Crowdcast, see my profile. It has my upcoming webinar there. You can save your seat for it that way as well. So to anyone else in the future, or to anyone who missed the past replays, actually, you can visit my YouTube channel, bit.ly/TPSYT. That's all capitals for TPSYT. You'll head to my YouTube channel and you can watch the past episodes or classes there. So, okay, let's get into it. First things first, we need to understand templates versus the style editor versus blocks. Jerry Hicks, what is your opinion on using Crowdcast? I think it's fantastic, actually. So yeah. Oh, Nancy's asking me a question. Nancy, put that question down in the questions area, because I'm probably going to miss that by the time we get to the end of the question time. So I'm going to use an analogy for choosing your correct template. Think of your template as the frame of your house. So what I mean by this is like frame the house, like the wood frame. If you build a one-floor house, if you build a bungalow, and then in the future you want to add a second floor onto that bungalow, no amount of like interior decorating or painting the walls is going to get you that second floor. So we need to choose a template or build our frame in the first place that sort of has the abilities and the capabilities that we're going to want now and in the future. So I'm going to go through what your template controls, because this is really important. So when you're choosing your template, you're not actually choosing it based off styles. You're choosing it literally off this like list of things. So your template controls, or the frame of your house controls, if you have a sidebar on your template or not, if there is a sidebar, if it exists or not. If your navigation is vertical or horizontal across the page, if you have a footer at all, a couple templates, vast majority have footers, a couple don't. Or if your footer is a colored footer, like if you can color that footer. If you have a secondary footer, so it's like another, just like two footers stacked one on top of the next. If you have banner images, and then also I'll get more into banner images as we go. If your banner images have like special functionality as well, that's one of the things that your template controls. Some templates, the newer ones now, they have this option of like doing a border around the entire website. That is controlled by the template. The blog page layout is also controlled by the template. Some templates have just one layout option. Some have multiple. And then when we get into the style editor bit, I'll talk about that. So, but just in general, like know that the template or the blog layout that you see on the template is likely the one, unless it has multiple. Just a few have multiple options. But for the most part, however the blog is laid out on the template example is mostly how it is, like pretty much what your option is. So it's one of those things you want to make sure you're happy with before you choose a template. If your template or your website can have parallelic scrolling, so that is the feature when it looks like the page is sort of melting into itself in an interesting way. It's a very modern new thing. So it's actually two speeds, like your page, the front of the page and the back of the page are moving at two speeds, which makes it look like the page is melting into itself, which is quite cool. If you have index pages are, if you're unfamiliar, so you think you have like one regular page, like a white page. An index page allows you to stack multiple pages on top of each other, or to stack like banner image followed by a regular like white space page, followed by another banner image, followed by a gallery layout, followed by another page. So it's basically, think of index pages as like stacking multiple pages on top of each other. I'm melting, yes. And then if there is the social icons or search option in your navigation, some templates have that, some templates don't. So that's one of those things we need to keep in mind. So your style editor. Now this is different. Your style editor, there's a style editor in every template. The options in the style editor depend on the options that your template gives you. But for some of these things, like say the types of fonts you have, that's the same across all of them. You can choose whatever font you want, no matter the template. That's not like a template specific thing. The colors on the page, again, that can be changed on any template. Spacing and padding. This is one of those things that depends on the template. So some templates will allow you to like change how much spacing is in between your navigation items, or how much space there is, like height of your navigation, how much space there is in between the footer and the content of the page. So spacing and padding, you can change that in your style editor. Style of forms and newsletter opt-in areas. That's like changing the colors, changing the text. Some buttons you can do like outline buttons, or you can do like a solid button or like a raised button. And so you can change all those styles in your style editor. The height of your banners. Hello, Maggie. The height of your banners, how tall they are, that's changed in your style editor. The type of gallery layout you have. Some templates have multiple different options for how your gallery lays out. You can change that in your style editor. And then layout of the blog. So this is one of the maybe semi-confusing ones. If your template has multiple blog layout options, you change the options in your style editor. Now, not all templates have the option for multiple blog layouts. Some just have one. But if there is the option, then you can change that in your style editor. Your announcement bar color and font is also changed in your style editor. And then if there's an overlay color on your banner image, also change there. So important. If your template doesn't have a certain function, it will not exist in your style editor. So some templates have literally like 3 or 4 times the amount of style editor options that other templates have. Normally, the newer templates have more options, to be honest with you. So say if your template doesn't have a footer, again, there's only 1 or 2 that's the case, then there won't be an option to change the color of the footer or anything about the footer, because the footer just doesn't even exist. So the thing needs to exist in order for you to edit it in your style editor. Now, then there's blocks. So each Squarespace block has a different function. Blocks are the things, think of them like building blocks or Lego blocks. They each have a different purpose. So, and they make up the content of your page. So you can place, think of blocks, like you can place them anywhere. Think of like the white space on the page. You can place your block anywhere on the white space. You can arrange them in any way you want. You can create different layouts just by like placing them left or right, or having them go straight across, or creating like a grid across the page. So blocks, all the templates have the same blocks, and you can arrange them on the page any way you like. So here's an example of what the little blocks area looks like. You just add an insert point to your page, and then this little tab comes up. It can also scroll down. There's more options than just this, but these are the primary ones. So a text block, you can add in some text anywhere you want on your page. And then you can, once you're in the text block, you can change the styles of like, if it's a heading, or if it's bolded, or if it's bulleted list, or if you're linking to something with that text, that's done in the text block. Image block, you can see there are, for image layouts, different varieties. This is a newer thing that Squarespace added. So like having your image layout as a card, or to have a poster, so there's like content on top of that image, or if it's a collage. Spacer blocks, interestingly, hello from Milano, beautiful, Sylvia. Spacer blocks, honestly, are the blocks that I probably use most. They're super useful. If you want to make layouts or just like add more white space, which websites can always have more white space, it's always a good thing. Spacer blocks are the way that you do that. Line blocks is just placing a line. It's a really good way to like delineate that one section is ended and the next one is started. Button blocks, gallery. So if you have like multiple images and not just one, then it's good to do a gallery, and you have different options like a slideshow, a carousel, a grid, or stacked. And then summary blocks. Summary blocks are magic. So summary blocks pull content onto a page. So say if I want a summary block to pull all of my Squarespace blog posts, so then I can have a page which is just Squarespace blog posts, which is great if you come to my website for Squarespace and you don't want to see all my like business posts or portfolio posts, you can just look at my Squarespace posts and I would do that using a summary block. So common mistake. Thinking you can only swap your content into the blocks in the template example. So something that I hear frequently from my clients and from blog readers is they'll say, I really like this template, but I don't think my content will fit. Like they just have such a small amount of text or images on the homepage, and I want more content on that page. Content on the page is completely easily changed. You just add more blocks to add more content, or you just keep typing and the text block just gets bigger and bigger. So don't worry about fitting your content into the block arrangement on the page. If you want to make your website unique, I would actually say like just delete the example content. And if you don't want it to look like the template, delete the example content and just add in new blocks, create your own layout that makes sense for your content. Oh, there we go. Getting ahead of my slides. So another common mistake, choosing your site based off of the style, look, or of the example content. Again, style is changed in the style editor. And example content, I'll go to the next one so I can show you. So Moksha template, I find yoga studios are constantly using this one, which makes sense because you go onto the templates page and you see, oh, this one's a yoga studio. I run a yoga studio. That's probably the one that makes the most sense for me. That is actually not the best way to do it. How should I say this? We can change all the styles. We can change all the content. And I'll get into why Squarespace does these different examples in a minute. They do this purposefully. So I'll get into that in a second. The best thing to do is to choose your template based off the functions that the template has, because the styles and the content can be changed. So in summary of all of that, templates control the structure of your site and the style editor controls the styles of the template you've chosen. Blocks make up the content of the page. So let's talk about template families and why Squarespace does this. So what are template families? This I took directly from the Squarespace website. So although they may look very different, templates within a family all have the same underlying structure and functionality. We, as in Squarespace, release templates this way to showcase their versatility and to help you find the layout and preset styles that work best as a starting point for your website. So notice they say showcase the versatility. Example, the Brine template, BRINE, has multiple different blog layouts. If they just showed you one example of the Brine template and just showed you that one blog layout, you would just look at the example templates and think, okay, that's the only layout option, but they actually have multiple blog layout options in Brine. So they do more templates in that family to show you those different options. So multiple templates in a family is really just showing you the variety of what that template can do. Because if they just had one, again, you wouldn't know that all those other options are there. So template families literally have the exact same structure and functions. If I took the Brine template and then played around for it long enough, I could get it to literally exactly look like the Rally template because they're in the same family. They have the same structure and they have the same functions. So it would just take me a while to change the options and change out the content to actually make it look exactly like the other one. So anything you would accomplish in one template in a family, you can do the exact same thing in another template in that family. So why are there multiple templates in a family? Because some of them have a zillion, like 20. It's just to show you the different options. So here's an example, Brine and Thorn template. So take a look at the navigation. In the Brine template, they have the logo centered. They have a little cart icon to the right, and then they have the navigation options to the left. In the Thorn template, they've taken the logo and they've put it to the left above the navigation options. And then instead of having the cart icon, they have cart written as text. So what they're doing here is they're just showing you, like with Brine, you can either have your logo in the center, or you can have it to the left above your navigation options. And you can also use the little cart icon, or you can have it as text. And now when you start going through all the templates in the Brine family, you'll start noticing that other templates will have the logo to the right-hand side and no cart icon at all, or they'll have social media icons. So as you see the different examples in the templates within the same family, you start to realize what's possible within that family. So pick based on functions. All templates have the same functions. It doesn't matter what you choose within a template family. It does make a difference what you choose between template families, but within the template family doesn't make any difference at all. The only exception is that So I would say choose based off of function first, and then second, choose based off style. And the reason I say this is, so say I choose a template in the Brian, or I choose the Brian family as the template family that I want. Then after that, the way to choose, like, okay, there's 20 templates in this family. How do I pick the right one? Then you choose it based off style. Whatever is closest style-wise or like layout-wise to what you want, then choose that one. And the purpose of that is just because it's going to take you less time to actually build the thing. Just because it's closer to what you want in the first place, you have less options that you need to change. So if you're asking, are they basically all the same thing? Within a family, yep, pretty much. Different template families, definitely not the same thing. They have different functionalities, so there's different things you can achieve with them. So everything you need to know about switching templates in case you're thinking about possibly doing that. Okay, Nicole, you're welcome. In case you're thinking of doing that because you chose one and you're suddenly about to choose a new one, or just so you know, like, how difficult is this going to be down the line? So switching templates, I would say, is like basically like building your website over again, except for that the content on your pages stays the same. So content on the page, blocks stay the same, style editor and functionality changes. So when you switch, you're going to want to reset your style editor options. Maybe like back to the ones that you had before, or maybe you want to do new ones because you want a new template, you want to change it up a bit. So you're going to spend a good amount of time in the style editor when you change templates. Also, you're going to have to fix for certain functions that are or are not there anymore. So let's say, for example, you had index pages on your old template, but the template you're moving to doesn't have index pages. Squarespace will change all the pages that were in index into a folder, and then you've got to decide, like, okay, do I want it in a folder? If I don't want it in a folder, do I want it all on one page? Then you're going to have to start putting that content all onto one page as opposed to having it on like a long page that just scrolled down. So same thing if you didn't have a secondary footer on your first template, but now you have it on your second one, you're gonna have to figure out, like, okay, what do I want to put in that secondary footer now? So you're gonna have to change and edit things based off when functions change based off the template. So just know, switching templates, it's a bit of a time investment. It's definitely gonna take you a couple hours, maybe even a day or two, depending on how much time you have to give it in a day. So content will move and it will stay the same. And you might end up wanting to change how the content lays out when you do change templates. Like, say there's new options of index pages, you might want to like rebuild that entire, like, maybe homepage or something. So it's going to take you a little while. Two things you should know though is that switching templates is completely free. Say with like WordPress, if you get a new theme or something, then you tend to pay for it unless you're getting the free ones. So with Squarespace, it's free. All the templates are free, so that's nice. And you can switch it as many times as you feel like. So there's no like limit to switching really. And in fact, you can add templates. You can leave your template in your website the exact same. You can just add templates and just see what it would look like and sort of like play around with them in the background while keeping your website live. So that's nice to know. So the exact process for picking your perfect template. Number 4. Step 1, find a handful of inspiration websites. I would say 2 to 5 websites is good for this. Once you find your inspiration websites, step number 2 is to note down the aspects that you really like about this website. Now, when you're doing this, in terms of entire website, you could note down, like, I love the way they communicate, or I love their pictures. In terms of template, that doesn't help us at all. In terms of building your website, that is helpful. But in terms of template, you want to note down like functionality, layout things that you really like, because that's what's going to help you decide which template to choose. So when you make this list of things that you really like about these websites, I would say make a list of like things you absolutely cannot live without, and then things that would be like nice to have, like second priority, because you might, depending on the template or depending on the options, you might need to give up one thing to have the other, because some templates, one template might have parallelics, but it doesn't have sliding banner images, or you can't have them at the same time. So you might have to choose between things. So choose like rank order what is the most important to you. So like must-haves and nice-to-haves. And then number 3, check out the template comparison charts. I'm going to show you those in a second. There's also something called Google. Whenever you find a template that you think you like, Google using whatever the name of the template, And then it'll bring you to this Squarespace guide page, and it tells you all of the options that are in the style editor. It gives you details about how certain pages or galleries or how the blog layout works. It pretty much is like a whole guide to that template. So it is useful to read it over before you actually get to doing it, or before you actually get to using the template. Granted, if you're a person who doesn't like reading and you just want to like play with it and see what happens, then you could also just add a few templates to your Squarespace account and then just play around with them to see like what works or how each one works. Okay, I was debating whether or not I would share this because it is getting a little bit more complex. So there are some hacks to functionality. Basically, you could honestly go into developer mode in Squarespace and just hack anything and make it do whatever you feel like. But most of us like aren't at that point. We don't really want to do that. There are a few businesses that sell what they call Squarespace plugins. To be honest, they're not like legitimately plugins the way that Squarespace or WordPress has plugins. They're just bits of code that you can pay for, which add different functionality to your website. So, for example, some are called Square Studio. It's squarestud.io is their website. You can add parallelic scrolling to a website that doesn't have parallelic scrolling. Granted, they need to have banner images for that to work. You can also buy a little bit of code that will add social icons into your navigation if your template doesn't have it. And if you use Page Studio 10, you'll get 10% off. So that's nice. The other two, I have to say, I've used Square Studio plugins before. Love them. They're great. They work well. Their support answers you if you need any help. The other two, I haven't used them, so I can't give you like personal experience, but they do have some other options. So squareplugs.com Larry, good point, actually. Thank you for mentioning this. In the Squarespace help section, you can sometimes search and you can just find the code that works to do these things. You don't get support with it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it's kind of like hit and miss. These things, they'll like for sure work. The free code in the help section maybe works. So you can always look there as well. Square Plugins has this image fade in effect, which is available in just one template family. So if you want that, then that's an option. SQSP Themes has an option to add a sidebar to a website or a template that doesn't have them. So I know that one's quite popular. So just know it is possible to add functionality, but yeah, I would say start by choosing it based off functionality that's there. And if you're really in dire need of one of these things, then there are workarounds like this, either in the Squarespace help section, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, or these things, which generally do always work. So how to use the template comparison chart. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to switch my screen from my presentation and then go to these two examples. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Share. It's about to go. Okay. Now I can't see the chat as I do this, just so you know. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is two websites which a past client of mine mentioned that she really loved and were her inspiration websites. So I'm going to go through the things that she mentioned she really wanted and then tell you how I determined the template from that. So she really liked that the logo was in the left and the navigation was to the right. She also really liked that there was this white little rectangle on top of the image. She liked that there was a banner image that went full width on the page. She also really liked that there was this like blush background happening here, but that there was also this white background here. And then she liked the fact that there was an image in the background, a color sort of like overlaid on the image, and then quotes that would scroll through. Now, one thing I should mention is that this is a Show It website. It's not Squarespace. So I could get her like 90% of the way there with Squarespace. So yeah, those were some functionality things which she mentioned she loved. She also said things like, I like the text, or like the font type, which is no problem because I could get that from no problem. That's a style editor thing, not a template thing, so I didn't have to worry about that when we were choosing template. The other thing she liked was in this website was that they had the slideshow. And so slideshow of banner images is just available in a few templates. So what I did was I went over to, there's two major Squarespace comparison charts out there. There is my one. If you Google just Squarespace template comparison chart, it'll come up. And then there's also usingmyhead.com. He literally hadn't updated this for a year, but then just updated it. So it's fabulous content as well. It's really good information. So let's go through how I determined which template to put her on from these things. So first things first, I knew that she wanted to have the banner images with a slideshow. So I went over to the banner image column, and then I looked down it. So Adirondack has banner images. However, the yeses that have asterisks mean that there's more information. So it could do more than just be a banner image. And she wanted a banner image that was a slideshow. So then I would look through all of the ones that have the asterisks. So Bedford, Brine, 5, Pacific, and York were all possible contenders. Then I went down here where it says, it's the banner image sort of key legend area. And then I could see that there were 2 templates that had the slideshow situation. Excuse me. 2 template families that had the slideshow. So I basically already narrowed it down just from that she needed one of these 2 templates. What were the other things? Whoop. See, okay, this bit here. So she wanted to have sort of like sections of like a blush background and then a white background. And so in order to do that, I needed to, this is fun fact, this is a great hack. A lot of people want to color sections of their website, but it's not actually so easy to do that. One hack to this is that you just go in like Canva or Illustrator and you create just like a rectangle and you make the rectangle a certain color and then you upload it as a banner image. So I knew that she wanted this like colored background, but also to have like an option of a white background. So I set the website background to white and then I just added in a pink background image for anywhere that we wanted this background color. But then she wanted things like images, and buttons and text on top of that area. And so we can see, going back to our comparison chart, that for banner images, I can add any block on top of a banner in the Brine template family. With the Bedford family, I can only add text and buttons. So we basically needed more options. I think also we had maybe an opt-in area, like a newsletter block on top and maybe a code block on top as well. So I basically knew that I needed to use the Brine template family to achieve what she wanted. Just so you know, when you're going to choose a template, when you're looking through here, I've rated it based off like overall flexibility from small, medium, large, extra large. I would definitely suggest you choose a template that gets like an XL or an L in terms of flexibility. Generally, it's the newer templates just because they really do have so many more options than the older ones. So as you get into things, generally you'll find that, yeah, they just have more options, which is going to make your life a lot easier. Then I'll also show you while we're here. This is an example of one of the guides. So using the Brine template. It has all of the template families down here. Just do a Google for this, and it will go through all of the details, like all of the style editor options, how this navigation works, all of those things. So it's definitely worth reading these over when you're going to choose your template. So I'm going to stop sharing that. There we go. Okay, good. Now I just have one more slide, 2 more slides for you. Yeah, okay, let me switch back to my slides. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So, did our example, just a heads up. Then our next lesson is not next week on Wednesday, but the Wednesday after at 2 p.m. Eastern. So definitely come join me for that. That is where I'm going to be showing you basically how we go and build one of these websites on Squarespace. So I'll be just like sharing my screen as I build a site with you or build some pages basically. And of course, definitely come hang out with me again in the future. I am working on my YouTube channel lately. So if you head to bit.ly/TPSYT, I would love if you came and hung out with me there, watch some videos. This video and the other lessons will be uploaded there. You can also subscribe there. And I would love to get to your questions. So, oh my God, I have 8 in there now. Oh. Okay. Let me get to your questions. Okie dokes. So Missy asked, I'm sure you've used the same template for multiple clients. How do you make sure the template you choose doesn't look like a template at the end? How do you personalize and customize templates so that each site is unique? Great question. Oops. Oh, I'm not done it. So I honestly delete when I pick a new template. I just delete all of the example content. Like I delete all the pages. I just like start again, start fresh. So that's one thing is like, once you see it, it's hard to like unsee it. And then you're like, oh, that's a really great layout. And then you just like put your content in, you just like delete out their image and add yours in. And so then, yeah, it could end up looking like the template. So I just delete all the demo content and just start creating my own pages. I also do a ton of work in the style editor. So the vast majority of my work actually happens in the style editor when I'm starting a site. So yeah, I just go in there and I customize all of the headings, all of the buttons, just like the textiles and everything. And I never use anything that was used in the template. So just doing those two things, deleting the demo content. So it like forces you to think of your own or like your own layout. And then just doing like going to town on the style editor will definitely make it look different than the template. Looking to find a template. Oh, sorry. Philomena asks, looking to find a template for an art portfolio to sell work, but does not look like the old style layouts. Any idea? Just delete the demo content and then just add a new page. When you do this, there is one option. I always just use the blank page and then I just like go off the content that the client gives me and then start adding it in however makes sense. And just literally like just dragging and dropping blocks until I find I'm like, oh, that layout looks nice. But so yeah, delete the demo content is great for that. Yeah. The other option is you can, instead of choosing a blank page, there's options below that where they've sort of like arranged blocks for you. So there's like 4 options for an about page or like 5 options for a contact page or whatever. So you could choose one of those as well. I would say, but really like deleting everything and just starting blank is honestly the best way to make it look unique. Broad. Good one. Okay. I have 2 questions. My template is no longer being supported. Is it important that I update to a newer template? And is there any template that you think would be best with having a video at the top? Good question. Okay. Template no longer being supported. So that they will never like kick you off, or at least I haven't heard of anyone the old templates have been discontinued. They still exist. If you have one, you're the only person basically who gets access to it because no new people can add that template. So it will still work. It just won't have as many options as one of the newer templates will. So switch. I mean, if you're happy with it and you like it, just stay with it. If you're unhappy with it, then switching to a newer template is nice because you will get more options with it. So it's not, if you're happy, stay. And if you're not, then go, I would say. But the fact that they discontinued it, it doesn't make a really big difference because you still have access to it. So actually it could be unique because you're going to be one of the few people left who still has that template. And is there any template that you think would be best with having a video at the top? I will just straight up tell you my favorite template family is the Brine template family. My website is built on the Rally template and it is fabulous. It has the most options. Once you get into it and you use that one, you'll never want to go with any other. So I don't want to force you all onto that or anything, but that is my favorite, and it would definitely work really well to have a video at the top. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. Good question, Larry. Larry asked, will you be discussing code block in the future? For example, can you code in a sidebar on a template that does not come with one in stock? Yes. Okay, so just adding the code block, I haven't purchased ever that template sidebar thing, which I mentioned. I'm assuming you probably asked this before I mentioned that in the presentation. So I'm assuming it's not just a code block. They probably do some like coding in like the settings to advanced coding and like CSS area. So just adding in the code block won't, I don't think, add a sidebar. I think it would be a bit more than that. Will I be discussing code block in the future? I'm in the lesson next week. I'm just going to be using like most, maybe I could cover it quickly. But I'm mostly going to be using like the basic Squarespace blocks for the example lesson next week. If I get into like an advanced lesson in the future, then I could definitely do that because it is more of an advanced thing generally. So yeah, good question. What does it mean? Is my template site says, oh snap, every time I sign into Squarespace? Not quite sure I understand that. Jennifer, do you want to explain a little bit more in the comment section? And then hopefully I can answer that for you. Larry asked, I noticed that on Brian, the H2 heading didn't show on the style editor until I created a new page with that heading. What's up with that? And will you be hosting a webinar on other Squarespace secrets? I could host a webinar on my other Squarespace secrets. As for that happening, I haven't personally had that happen to me, though sometimes Squarespace does do weird things. Like at one point, like the whole right-hand side of my page, I like couldn't like drop any blocks or anything onto it. So I think sometime I contacted Squarespace and they said it was something like my cached browser was making that happen. So just like clear my cookies or something, or use an incognito window. So it could be just some sort of like hiccup that you've hit. So maybe like doing those two things might help, or contact Squarespace help and they could probably sort it out for you because that's not normal. So it shouldn't be happening. Jill asked, I use Bedford, but the banner images are too large. I'd like to switch to a melty one. The Parallelix. Suggestion to a better one for a dance studio. Yeah. So the fact that you're a dance studio, you do not just need to choose a template that has the example of a dance studio. Choose a template based off functionality. So it sounds like you really want the melty function, so the Parallelix thing. So head into the template comparison charts, find all the templates that have Parallelix as an option, and then go through and check out their other functions, see if there's anything else in there that like determines between that different families as to which one makes the most sense for you. And then decide based off style after that. So yeah, Brian template would be a fabulous option for the melty feature. Jennifer, which ones have the ability to embed the video in the Parallelix? I do not know if that's a thing, it would work on all templates. I don't know if it is a thing, but if it was, then it would work on anyone that had the Parallelix as an option, but I just don't know. So you actually have to, I would say just add a template that has Parallelix to your Squarespace account, add in a video, turn on Parallelix in the style editor. If it works, then it works on all of them. And if it doesn't, then it won't. So I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but if it works, it should work across all of the templates that have Parallelix. Okay, Jennifer, this is a really good one. Okay, so if the Brine family is the best or most functional, how do you decide from there? There's quite a few in that family. So once you have decided, okay, I want the Brine template family, then I would just go through and say which one fits your style most, or if you want to use the content layouts that come with the example, as opposed to deleting them and just like creating your own, then choose based off style second. Choose based off function first, and then choose based off style. So I use the Rally template. It fit my style. I like the look of it. I did change a lot of things to it, so mine doesn't really look like the template anymore. But just say like the more fonts that are your style that you like the look of, it just means that it's less you have to change. So choose whatever fits your style second once you've chosen within a family. And that's a really good way to do it. Just going to save you time down the line, really. Sylvia, good one. Is it possible with Squarespace to have a sidebar with the same content only on some pages and not in other? The 5 template family has multiple sidebar options. They have left, right, and both, I think, and then none as an option. And so for each one of those different options, you can have different content. So yeah, you can have different content for those different types. So say if I took a page and I set it to have the right sidebar, all of the pages that have the right sidebar would be the same content in the right sidebar. Then if you set other pages to have a left sidebar, it would be all the same content in that left sidebar. But the vast, I think that's the only template that has multiple sidebar options. And so I think that would be the only one that would work for that. So I would say start looking there. But yeah, you do need to do the same content. If it's on any page that has a left sidebar or any page that has the right sidebar, that would be the same, but you can change it for those two. So it gives you at least 2, if not 3 options for content. Jennifer asked, how do you come up with fonts for branding and how many do you suggest? I have a selection of favorite fonts that I really like. Also just a general rule of thumb. Don't want to go too crazy with your fonts. Pick like 2, and that's generally good. And then I just do like different sizes or like maybe a different color to give some variety. So I generally choose 1 serif and 1 sans serif. And then I do variety in either like bolding or not bolding, or size of the text or color of the text. So I would say, yeah, 2. I generally like serif fonts for body text, because then when you do things like italicize the text, then it really looks, I'd say, better than when you do that with a sans serif font. So yeah, just 2, maybe 3, no more than that. Actually, Squarespace will only give you 4 options: body, heading 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, 2 or 3 is good. And then from there, to vary things up, change the size and change the color. So yeah. Okay. Francis asked, I was wondering if you can Americanize the template on the site. I want to do a grid on my homepage as well for my design portfolio. Great question. Okay. There is, I think the website is sylviaboicus.com. Google how to find what template a Squarespace site is. And it should bring you to a page where you can, it will give you directions on how to figure out what template it is. So yeah, do a Google for that. Something like sylviaboicus.com, I think it is. They have a blog post where you can just like input. I don't think you can input a link. It shows you the process of like going into the code of the website, finding the template ID, and then you just take that template ID and you pop it into the this little like search field, and then it will tell you the template. So it's possible. So just follow that process to figure out which one it is. Jerry, why did you choose crowdcast.io? It seems to work well. Oh, good question. Okay, so I sent out an email to my email list today with my October business recap. I do a business recap, or have been since the summer now. And I talk about all the decisions and things that I've done in my business. And I talk actually about Crowdcast and why I chose Crowdcast. I was originally looking at Webinar Ninja because it had a lot of more functionality, which I really liked. But I went to go test it out on 3 different occasions with some family and friends, and it just straight up like did not work. And I'm not saying that that's probably normal for Webinar Ninja. I know that they just like updated their platform or something, so maybe they were just having some growing pains with it. But I had been on Crowdcast webinars in the past and knew that they were super reliable. And I looked through, and yeah, so far I've been really happy with it. Oh, there you go. Okay, Jennifer, you found it. Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I chose Crowdcast. Literally, it just works, and that's the most important thing, is that you can actually see me and hear me, and so yeah, that's why I ended up choosing it. It was just because it was known to be a super reliable platform. Rod, this might be too simple, but how do I see the different blog layouts within a certain family? For example, Brian. So you can do it a few ways. You could go onto the templates examples page, and then look and see, check out a few different templates within that template family, go to their blog pages, and then however those are laid out, they've probably done a few examples. Because they, again, as you heard from Squarespace, I want to show you the variety of the templates. So you can go onto a few different templates in the Brian family and the examples, and then go to their blog pages and see how they're laid out. So that's one way of doing it. Or you can go into add the Brian template or any other template in that family to your account, then go into your style editor, and then go to the blog area, and then you can just change the different options, and then you can just see them that way as well. So either one of those two ways would definitely help you with that. Okay, Suzanne. Thank you for helping us. You're super welcome. You're welcome, Rod. I like the. Okay. Do you have to pick a template that has the return to top button at the top of each page, or is that something you could add to any template? If so, how do you add? Great question. Okay. I literally wrote a blog post on this. It's called, it's pretty recent. Go on my Squarespace blog post. And it's, what did I name it? How to add jump to links, I think was something I called it. And it also mentions back to top buttons. So you could also search that in my search bar and you should find it. That is something which you can add to any template. You just add a code block, very simple bit of code, and it explains it in the blog post. And then you add in the code, and then you add in an anchor. And so then when someone clicks on the code bit, it takes them up to that anchor or down. You can use it to scroll up and down throughout really long pages. So yeah, it can be done in any template. So that doesn't need to be a factor when you're choosing. Nancy said, I started my website with a cover page. Now I would like to make a full-fledged website using Pacific, unless you change my mind today. How can I switch what is on my cover page to Pacific, or should I keep the cover page and link to the specific website from it? So create, yeah, leave the cover page as a cover page, so that when you're building it, then they just see the cover page and they don't see you messing around with things and stuff constantly changing. So yeah, leave the cover page, add your Pacific template if that's what you choose. It's a very good one as well, so that's a great option. Build the thing, then just to change it from one to the other, you just go to your new homepage that you created, and then you go into settings, and then you click set as homepage, and then the cover page will come off as the homepage, and then your new website will be live to the world. Okay, last one. So if I find some fonts I like on someone's website, how do I find out what it is? You'd have to inspect the website to find the code, and then it will tell you in the code what it is. That's the way it's done. So on Google Chrome, I think it's right click, inspect element. You click on that bit of text that you really like. It will bring up the code, and then you're gonna have to read through the code and it'll say font type somewhere in the code, and then it will say the name of that font, and then just Google it, see if it looks right, and then that should be the one there. So yeah. I'll take one more, Jennifer. Do you have a Facebook group for questions like this? Jennifer, I'm sorry, no, I don't. But there are other Facebook groups which are super useful. I think that Square Studio website has a Facebook community. And And there's also something called like Squarespace photographers. Even if you're not a photographer, you could totally join it. And that's all Squarespace users. So you could go in there to get help. So yeah. All righty. All done with questions. Whew, I got through them all. That was 18 questions. Oh my God. Okay, you put me to work today, people. It was lovely to see you. I hope you will come join me in the next masterclass. So again, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. That is the 22nd, and I hope to see you there. Oh yeah, and Fonts Google. Oh, you are a photographer. Oh, perfect, Jennifer. Well, that Facebook group definitely makes sense for you then. Okay, have a good rest of your day, everyone. Bye.